Morning, everyone, and welcome to Municon. I think this is our fourth Municon that we've done. I'm Lisa Rosman with the Washington Stormwater Center. I'm the Assistant Director. And today we have Regulated Stormwater Facility O&M Program, Phase 1 and Phase 2 approaches. And we have Will Gibson with Snohomish County and Neil Rasmussen with the City of Arlington. They're going to be talking about the O&M perspectives from different sized communities and how they are making those programs successful. So I will turn it over to Will.
Thank you. So my name is Will Gibson, Engineering Technician 5 with Snohomish County Surface Water Management. I'm going to give you a very brief presentation on our private residential and commercial drainage facility inspection programs. We break the facilities and the programs into three different types. The first one is commercial, which contains businesses such as restaurants and gas stations, multifamily like apartment complexes and condominiums, and also non-residentials like churches and fire departments. And then our residential program is single family home plats. And of course, we have our public owned and maintained facilities. Currently, we have 2,304 NPDES facilities. I want to explain the difference between our commercial and residential facility programs. First of all, the regulatory inspection process is the same. All the facilities and their assets are to be brought back to NPDES standards. However, the residential facility does receive some maintenance assistance from the county. We do some of the maintenance for the residential systems, such as sediment removal from catch basins, filter replacement, and some vegetation management. The commercial facilities are required to complete the maintenance on their own and report that back to us when they've completed it. Here's a short explanation of why we do the residential maintenance. First of all, it's to bring the facilities back within NPDES standards before the end of the regulated stop times. And it gives us a chance to educate the homeowners between the letters, the maps we send, the links to websites. It gives us a chance to show that they're really the owner and how they should be taking care of it. We have a higher efficiency due to the fact that we work with our own road maintenance crews. So we're always in constant contact, whether it's email or a phone call or on-site meetings. And the crews performing the maintenance do this work every day, which it really helps when they can fill a gap that an inspector missed, or say there was an asset like a catch basin that we couldn't locate because it was buried. Those maintenance crews can uncover that and report back to us of any issues that might need to be addressed on site. And that kind of minimizes our it would be like change orders if we were dealing with commercial type people. We also get to bypass some of the monetary ability of the homeowners that more than likely haven't saved up for such maintenance on their own facility. And as we've heard from some of our commercial people, they have a hard time getting crews out to do the maintenance before the NPDES stop date is due. Before we go out and do a facility inspection, we need to go through the legal documents, make sure we have an easement or a DFMC that gives us permission to inspect and do the maintenance. And if we don't have that at that time, we need to try to acquire it, whether we ask through a letter or an email, or a good old fashioned going out and knocking on doors and getting a signed right of entry. At this time, we'll also collect the as-built plans and compare that to our GIS inventory And if there's differences in it, we will make a request to our inventory team that will go out in the field and get those points collected before we go out on site. Our asset management program is called Cartograph. We track almost all the facility information within that. We will attach, before we go on an inspection, we'll attach the facility legal documents, the plan sets, any maps that we might have made, any letters that we will and have sent to them, emails, and then it's all right there in one, little pot for us to look at when we're out on site if we need to. Cartograph also keeps track of our NPDES regulatory stop dates and the cost of labor, equipment, and materials, and inspection results from year to year. When we go out into the field, we'll inspect the facilities and the assets and note the deficiencies on iPads while we're on site. When we've done the inspection, we'll come back and generate a letter and a map like this one you're seeing on your screen for the property owners to see in reference to their house and what the system looks like and where it goes. And then this big pot of information that I'm talking about, we call a work order, and we send it to our senior lead, who then goes through it, makes sure that we have everything included that we need, and we're not doing something crazy or bizarre, or the letter's not goofy. Just a second set of eyes to make sure we're good to go. And at that time, when he's done, he'll send a task to say our secretary to send the letters and the map, and he'll also send road maintenance the task to be completed for that work order. Tracking and validation of our required maintenance. We can generate reports through Cartograph. One of them is a 10-month warning, so we know to send a warning letter to our commercial properties that maintenance is due in the next 2 months, and we have a 1-year final notice that'll go out if it's still not complete. And 90 days from that final notice, we'll go into the code enforcement, which it happens, but not as often as you might think. We also have validation triggers. When road maintenance is completed, those work tasks in that work order, we will receive an automatic email from Cartograph saying that the work is completed, and then we can go on site, double check the work, make sure everything's good to go, and then we'll close that work order for the year. Some challenges we have is the cost of the super expensive asset replacement. Say like a corrugated metal detention pipe would be very expensive to replace. And for these residential ones that we help out with, we're trying to figure out if that's going to go back to the property owners to fix, or are we going to do it, and how will it be funded? We also have a growth in numbers of facilities which impacts us. We grow on average of 30 to 50 facilities annually. And of course, our own policy changes and NPDES permit changes could add to that. And then we have our communication issues like language barriers. We have old facility owners that sell out to new owners, but don't pass on those letters and information to them that work needs to be completed. And we also have lack or inability to respond to our letters. We can send out 60 notices for one facility, and sometimes we're lucky if we get 1 or 2 responses back. But the positive things that we have from that residential program is the equity of service to all the residential facilities that meet the NPDES requirements. The educational awareness to the landowners, the letters, the maps, the links to the websites gives them a good overview of what they're responsible for and what they should be doing on their own. And a positive visual accomplishment seen by the utility ratepayers. They get to see their money at work and what happens with that. And then of course, you know, the sediment removal and contaminants and downstream flooding is prevented. And we're also providing a service that many citizens may not be able to afford. We got to face it that most residential homes aren't saving to do the maintenance on these facilities. And I'm sure there's going to be some questions. Please feel free to contact me here, and I'd like to hand it over to Nels.
All right, thanks, Will. Let me quick share this. All right, look good from your end?
Yeah.
Okay, great, thanks, Will. Again, my name is Nels Rasmussen. I'm the Stormwater Technician 3 for the City of Arlington. That basically means that for the Stormwater Department and Natural Resources, I'm the lead for those. I'll give a quick rundown of Arlington just so everyone kind of knows where we're speaking about. We're a small municipality in northern Snohomish County. We have approximately 20,000 residents, growing every day quite quickly these days. The current city limits is approximately 10 square miles, and our surface drainage goes to 2 distinct basins. Our Portage, Prairie Creek, Eagle Creek, they all drain to the north towards the Snohomish River. The confluence of the north and south branches of the Snohomish River are at the northern boundaries of our city. And then to the south, we have Hayhoe Creek and Edgecombe Creek that drain into the Quilceda Creek drainage basin. So just kind of give a rundown of what we're encountering there. So Arlington Public Works and Utilities, it includes our maintenance operations, but also the utilities has our domestic water distribution, our sanitary sewer collections, and then ourselves, the Arlington Stormwater Department. We are a department of 2 full-time FTEs. That includes anything that has to do with the NPDES permit. We have 53 miles of utility pipe approximately, and then approximately 25 miles of open channel. That doesn't include the waters of the state. Inside this, we have 200 plus detention areas. And this includes our downtown constructed wetland. I could speak for probably 2 hours on our wetland, but in short, it takes most of our water from our older town areas. It also takes our reclaimed water, or it will be taking reclaimed water from our treatment plant when we get fully certified. And then the backwash from our water plant also enters this and is all controlled from a structure with weir gates. But what this talk is primarily about is our self-inspection program. With the requirements to do inspections and then the upcoming source control, we were struggling to come up with an idea of how we could do this with only 2 full-time staff working here, as well as keeping up with our current tasks. So the first thing we had to do was determine what we need to do. So we decided to do a self-inspection program. What we need to do is identify the customers that we needed to reach out to and hopefully help us out with this. So we utilized a number of different avenues. We identified all the commercial properties that are inside of our city, as well as multifamily properties, so apartment complexes, anything over a triplex we wanted to reach out to. The homeowners associations for most of our neighborhoods, we need to reach out to them, and also the school district had a number of properties, so we've been partnering with them for quite some time with education and other things, so we were wanting to get them in the loop as well. So to do this, we utilized our current stormwater utility fee. Here in Arlington, the stormwater department calculates out the utility fees, the monthly fees that go out to our residents. We use an ESU, or an equivalent service units. So we have all that stored in our GIS. Also reaching out using our HOA registrations. I had inside the stormwater department, we have a list of HOAs that were currently active We also reached out to our communication or our community and economic development office. They had registrations as well, so we kind of compiled those lists and brought them in. And also utilizing our ArcGIS, we maintain a database of all the subdivisions inside the city, as well as the aforementioned stormwater utility fees. So we were able to compile a list of approximately 324 individual contacts that we wanted to reach out to implement this program. So first and foremost, we needed to develop an outreach and communication plan. That was started in early 2020. It included who and when and where we were going to be communicating with the public. We drafted up a packet that we submitted to our city council so they could be aware of what we were planning and they could have any comments on this. So primarily this involved using physical postcards, social media, local access television, the physical letters that we needed. We have our city website. We built a web page devoted to this. We have an e-newsletter that goes out internally and externally to the city, whoever wants to sign up for that. And also we had some grant money available and we purchased a production quality video that we posted on our website and distributed as well. It's just kind of a synopsis of a 2-minute video, just kind of showing what we were looking for, what needs to be done. One of our inspection officers was gracious enough to be our narrator. So that is posted on our website. I won't show it just because of time restraints, but it is on our website if you are interested. So the initial outreach that we did, so this primarily was for social media, e-newsletters, that type of thing, started in mid-July, specifically July 14th. The first postcards, so informational postcards, went out the 1st of August of this last year. The web page was finalized with all the supporting information. That was finalized on August 10th, and then the inspection packets were mailed to the 324 contacts on August 15th. We anticipate we were going to give them 45 days to get these inspections completed. We sent out a reminder postcard about midway, just kind of, if it sat on their desk or gotten buried, bring that back to the surface. And then at September 30th, we kind of compiled what we had. Due to COVID restrictions and a lot of feedback from certain communities and certain agencies that they're having troubles getting contractors out, and just the social distancing was causing issues, even absences because of COVID sickness. We pushed out the deadline to October 31st until we sent out our delinquent letters on November 1st. And this we gave them to the end of the year to kind of finish this up again due to some restrictions that we all kind of run into this year. And we estimated there was approximately about 50 hours of support that we lent out to anybody that called in that had questions. So just a kind of a quick view of the program timeline that we developed. This again was for the packet to kind of give, starting at the top, we mailed them out. I guess this does show August 1st. We had some delays again due to the COVID restrictions, and then kind of flow chart to the right, how if forms are returned, if not returned, and how we respond, and to the left for maintenance needs, and again, and kind of how we would respond to those responses. I'm going to go over a couple of the documents that we were able to send out. Here on the left is the actual inspection sheet that we sent out to the contacts. I harvested a number of different inspection sheets from different agencies, municipalities throughout the state and throughout the country, honestly. And it was kind of determined that we wanted to stay away from having them do any kind of observations that would require them to identify certain contexts or percentages or those types of things. We just wanted to go, do you see this on your property? And a yes, no question. Hopefully that would give property owners that may not even have known that they had a system, that if they see what's on the list and they can say yes or no, that can progress this process. And the letter in itself on the right-hand side, sending out, kind of explaining why it's being done, explaining that, if you're doing this now, hopefully the costs that are incurred are much less than a large fix that could be down the road, trying to catch anything that could possibly be an issue early. So a few more documents. On the left-hand side here is the back page of the inspection form. Again, kind of going over the terminology, trying to help explain certain things and what you might be seeing on your property. The upper right is the postcard that we sent out twice. Again, kind of giving as much information as we can, pointing any of the contacts to the resources that we made available. And then finally on the bottom there is a snapshot of the cover page. We kind of made a digital flip book of any pictures around the city, kind of pointing to the terminology that the inspection sheet would have, and kind of giving examples of good condition, bad condition, just trying to give a visual aid to these people or entities that have to do this for the first time this year. So quickly to go over the results, the initial response by the September deadline was 183, so just over 56%. We did give them a little extra time, and then in November, after sending our failure to comply notices, that number by the end of the year was 262. So we received about 81% response rate for the first year, which we feel was pretty well done. 61 contacts did not respond. Some key notes, 17 respondents submitted receipts for work completed from the inspection results. So prior to even discussing what might need to be done, they took that under themselves. And then also the school district hired a Vector contractor to do maintenance and replaced all of their filters on site, which was a great success there. So a couple lessons learned in conclusion. Property owners rarely know or frequently did not know what was on their properties. So a lot of the outreach time was spent sending them scans of their properties or asking for help with that. Seemed like it was kind of a even draw 50-50. A lot of the larger entities like the Walmarts or the McDonald's of the world, they had their own department that was dedicated to it, so they could get those done. But kind of the regional or mom and pop shops, they needed some assistance with that. Another lesson we learned was property owners that have multiple properties in the city, making sure that we flag that and making sure it's very abundantly clear that you have multiple properties and need to do an inspection for each of those. We had a hardware store in town that also owned a number of other buildings that they lease out and apartment complex, and just making sure that was clarifying that we needed one for every single one of those properties. The Smoky Point neighborhood in our city, this is the neighborhood that's directly adjacent to Interstate 5 and going east. That was annexed in 1999, and it was pretty well built out when it was annexed in. So a lot of the building information that was being requested, we did not have in-house since it was done during either township or county jurisdiction. So we had to pass that along to the county, or we are hoping to get a little bit more information for next year. And then starting a new program in the pandemic always has its downsides. We did have a few upsides. Obviously the downsides is scheduling people to be able to go out there, observing social distancing, and just if they didn't do maintenance, some of the contractors even during the pandemic stopped doing maintenance. So, but one of the upsides is that this kind of lent itself to social distancing. Most of our correspondence was over phone and email. Most of our inspection letters were scanned and emailed back, so we didn't have to be on site a great deal. But like all of us, I'm hoping for the day that we can get back to pre-pandemic business, doing personal outreach, public events. Those are always the great places to reach out and do this. So the workload seemed to be reasonably manageable for just the two of us and the staff. There were times when it got busy, especially when the notices went out, but it seemed to be a good solution for us to get our inspections completed. And we're looking forward to 2021 for improvements and more work. So thank you for your time, and here is my contact information.
All right, great. Thanks, you guys, for that, for those great presentations. I neglected to let you guys know at the beginning that if you have any questions, put them in the chat box. We have a few minutes for questions if there are any. I'll just wait a couple of seconds here to see if anyone has any questions. So in the meantime, William or Nels, do you have anything you want to add to your presentation or to the conversation?
I know personally, we were very excited to see if our program would actually get the results that we were hoping for. And to reiterate that a response rate of over 80% in our first year, especially dealing with what we were dealing with, we were quite surprised, but pleasantly surprised that we were able to get that kind of feedback. And it did bring out a lot of good communication with people that they were very willing to do this for us. So
great. There are a couple of questions coming in. So the first one is from Ken Coulter. I'm sorry. Are all of these resources available on your website? Inspection forms, notice letter templates, educational packets, etc. I think that's probably a question for both of you.
For us in Arlington, yes, we put everything on there on our website. The only thing that I mentioned was the packet that kind of went over all kind of the communication that is probably buried in our city council packets but I could put that on our website, a direct link on that as well.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, William.
Yeah, we do have all of our stuff online as well with the links that go to it.
Okay. Do either of your programs provide maintenance workshops to assist private property owners? That's an excellent question.
We haven't set up in Arlington any actual workshops, but we did get some great feedback from people this first year, what they were seeing, and some of the in-persons that we did do gave us some great ideas. So we have not yet.
And
yeah,
Will?
we currently do not have workshops at this time, but we do stress that we will meet on site at any time with any owner or contractor and go over some information if they need it.
Okay, great. We have 5 minutes. We have a couple more questions. Are you going to be adding the new source control requirements to your program? I'm not sure who that's for.
We are, yes, that was definitely part of our plan in the coming years is to utilize this, especially the inventory of commercial properties, to branch off of this and utilize it, yes.
And we do have our own source control team in our division that's already incorporated.
Okay, great. And one last question. For Arlington's self-inspection program, did it turn up any issues or problems about how facilities are privately managed and needed to be addressed by the city?
Short answer, yes, definitely. We found that a lot of HOAs assumed that their ponds were done by us. That was a big education point. And also some private, just not knowing that what they have on their system. And so we had a great deal of outreach that way, giving them information about what's on their property. So yes, there were definitely some needing to be addressed for us.
Great. Okay. Well, that's all the time we have. Thank you guys so much for your presentations, and good luck in the future, and we'll talk to you later. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.